Hi folks, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Greg, this is All About Candles. I'm your self-proclaimed Canadian candle connoisseur, and it is Sunday today, and on Sundays I do the WWW Weekly Wax Wrap-Up, which is when I share with you all of the candles that I've finished burning this week and give you a really sort of quick, tight synopsis on how they did. These are not necessarily candles that are available anymore. When I do like more in-depth candle reviews, I really want to do those reviews for candles that are currently available. And I also think it's really important that I don't do in-depth candle reviews until the candle's been completely finished. The reason for that is that, when it comes to fragrance, it's a very subjective like or dislike. We all like different things. Even when it comes to like strength and throw, that's pretty subjective too. I don't like to review candles until I've completely finished burning them because I think performance is what we're often looking for when it comes to candle reviews. Everybody likes different smells. You could interpret a smell as being strong or weak, but what has less variable to it is the performance of a candle. And so Weekly Wax Wrap Up is this week. There's actually quite a few candles that I've already posted in-depth reviews for, and I'll link to all of them below. But there's also quite a few candles in here that I just finished this week that were from last year. And I'm just gonna run them down pretty quick. I finished up 2 Flowerchilds, actually 3 Flowerchilds. I finished up 3 Flowerchilds this week. We had last year's release, we had this year's release, and then a single wick, which I think is pretty old. I only buy single wicks if they're like less than $4 during semi-annual sales, so this must have been around for a fairly long time. I like this fragrance, but the first version was weak. The second version had performance issues. And the single wick, I really only burned it while I was burning one of the 3 wicks to kind of supplement the fragrance a little bit. For a single wick, this burned pretty well. And this, I think, this line of candles are some of the most beautiful candles BBW has ever done. This one was fairly strong, but didn't perform great, and I couldn't get right through it. And last year's version, I found fairly weak. But this one performed a little bit better, technically. And so yeah, Flowerchild, I think that I'm done with Flowerchild. If it does come back next spring, it's gonna be a pass for me. I kind of feel like I've gone as far as I wanna go with that fragrance. It is the White Narcissus Cashmere Musk Sweet Cedarwood. A lot of people found that sort of cashmere musk powdery note was just way too close to a baby powder scent. And I understand that, although I didn't mind it. It's just, after 3 of them, I think I'm calling it a day. What I much preferred was Sunshine and Daffodils. Now this is Sunshine and Daffodils from Candle Day, not last year, but the year before. So this is from Candle Day 2022. And I think this was one of the best iterations of Sunshine and Daffodils that they have done. Really pretty lid on there as well. Ooh. Yeah, it was a really beautiful golden wax. As you can see, I started getting some discoloration when there was about 1/3 of the candle left. And so I just blew it out, put it under a heat lamp, and enjoyed the fragrance that way for probably like at least 2 or 3 days. This is a strong candle. Like, it's really weak now because I've sucked all of the fragrance out of it with my lamp, but this was strong. When this was burning, I'd say it was an 8. Like, it had some presence, and it is a very, very daffodil narcissus smell. Oh, I love it. And this did not come back this year. And this was my last one. So I'm really hopeful that it comes back next year because this is one of my favorite spring candles from Bath and Body Works. It's been coming out for a while. I always grab one. It's a solid performer, solid fragrance. You know, a little bit disappointing that you can't burn it all the way down to the bottom, but under a candle lamp, whew, my whole kitchen smelled like daffodils for several days. Also this week, I finished up Vanilla Cloud. I have a more in-depth review of it that I will link below. Airy Freesia Vanilla Cream Blonde Woods really reminded me of Marshmallow Fireside and was an okay performer. I also did a review this week of Blush Amber and Peony. This is my favorite new fragrance of the year so far from Bath and Body Works. I absolutely adore it. It performed extremely well, like an 8 on Strength and Throw. It performed extremely well right up until like the last 10% of the candle that happened, but I'm pretty happy with how far it got, how far it performed. Definitely a repurchase for me. I highly recommend it. What else did I finish this week? Number 42, Sweet Cream Fresh Cinnamon Vintage Leather. I really liked this one a lot and it performed beautifully all the way down to the wick nickels. A little bit of discoloration and soot, but overall no complaints. Strength and Throw, probably an 8, a solid 8, 7.5 at least. What else? Oh, here's one I really was hoping I would enjoy more than I did. This came out last year and it was Fresh Mint and Tea Tree. And Bright Spearmint, Tea Tree, and Rosemary. I can't say I really pick up on the tea tree that much. The top note is definitely that spearmint, and the base note is kind of a rosemary, maybe a bit of tea tree-ish vibe, a little bit piney. I liked this fragrance a lot on cold, but when I was burning it, it just seemed to get lost. Like there was a vague sort of mintiness in the air, but as far as Strength and Throw goes, I would have to put this at maybe a 5 or a 5.5. And it was a pretty vicious burner. It had the thick, ropey wicks, and I couldn't burn this one for longer than like 2 hours. Like it was a 2-hour max. The flames were really vicious and aggressive and billowy. This couldn't be burned for a very long time. It had to be blown out because it started to look kind of scary. As you can see, the wax got a little bit discolored. I wasn't invested enough in the fragrance to finish it up under a candle lamp or anything like that. I might just burn the rest of this one outside on my balcony one night and call her a day. What else did I get through? Okay, Pink, Lilac, and Vanilla. One of my favorite fragrances. This is from last year. Really pretty lid. This is a last year release of Pink, Lilac, and Vanilla that wasn't like the Mother's Day. Beautiful, 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 beautiful fragrance. I love this fragrance. I get one every year, but this performed abysmally. I know that the wax doesn't look discolored, and that wasn't the problem. The problem was these puny wicks, which I don't understand because it was the thick ropey wicks, and this candle just never got going. Not the first burn, second burn, third burn, fourth burn, fifth burn. I burned it probably about 5 or 6 times to get to the halfway point, at which point it basically was barely burning at all. Just those tiny, tiny, tiny little blue flames that don't move. It's one of the worst performing Bath and Body Works candles I've had in a long time. Bath and Body Works candles, of course, they tend to have problems around the last third of a candle, but it's pretty rare that you can't go past about the halfway point. However, I put this in a candle crock in my bedroom and it smelled absolutely glorious for like 2 or 3 days. I'm having much more luck with this year's version of pink lilac and vanilla. I'm only about halfway done so far, and I haven't been running into the same problems. It has the same thick ropey wicks, but for some reason this one is just burning much better than last year's. I will probably do an in-depth review of this once it finishes. Fingers crossed for the last half of that candle. What else did I finish up? One last thing, Paris Cafe. I believe this came out in this White Barn line last summer. Paris Cafe has been out for quite a while, and every now and then I pick one up. It's just a classic Bath and Body Works candle, and this is strong. Everybody knows how strong this is. And after you blow this candle out, it still lingers in your space for quite a while. It's a little bit cloying. I'd say strength and throw on Paris Cafe is a 9.5, has always been a 9.5, and probably will always be a 9.5. I love coffee fragrances, and this isn't my favorite coffee fragrance from Bath and Body Works. I really liked Freshly Brewed Coffee from last fall. I really enjoyed that one. A lot of people thought it was the same as Paris Cafe but repackaged, but it wasn't. Paris Cafe has a really burnt, roasty note to it. The actual scent notes are rich roasted coffee, sugared brioche, and vanilla cream. I don't get the sugared brioche so much. You have to remember, this isn't called a cup of coffee. It's called Paris Cafe, where you're walking into the cafe and you're hit with that smell of espresso beans being roasted to the point where they're almost burnt. You can smell like a crunchy, almost burnt sort of texture to this candle. And I don't buy it all the time. I'm not obsessed with it. But once in a while, I really do like a Paris Cafe. So I had this one kicking around from last spring and decided to finish it off before we moved into floral spring proper, right? I do like it. It's so strong. I mean, it is up there with pumpkin pecan waffles, berry waffle cone, just one of the strongest candles that Bath and Body Works does. It definitely slaps you across the face, and sometimes I like it like that. Anyways, Paris Cafe. Oh, guys, that does it for my weekly wax wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone's been having a really good weekend. I'm going to be around this week with candle reviews for you and all sorts of shenanigans. Thank you very much for joining me. If you could hit me up with a like, a comment, a subscribe, that would really mean the world. And until next time, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Bye, guys.